Yeah, I'm working on mounting the seat. By the way, hi, Mode here. I'm working on mounting the seat, and there's several bolt patterns on the bottom of the seat. I've chosen this particular one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a bar of aluminum, and I'll put the bolt pattern in the bar of aluminum. Then the mount that goes on the tractor, I'll put that bolt pattern so I can slide this thing until I find the spot where it's the most comfortable. I'm gonna set up on the milling machine here in a little bit, and I'll show you the machining on the aluminum adapter plates. There's the bottom of the seat. Here's the top. Should be nice and comfortable. We'll definitely enjoy that. That's a universal seat, and it's got lots of bolt patterns on the bottom, but the problem is none of them match up to the plate that I've already made. So, little adapter and away we go. Be back shortly with a setup on the mill. Okay, I've got the setup. I've got it put in here and got it set up now. What I'm doing is these bolts that come from this direction, they need to be lowered so the top of the bolt is flat with this. So when it slides on the adjuster on the tractor, that it's not just riding on these little bolts, it's riding on this whole surface. So what I'm doing now is I'm making kind of a universal. I'm putting a slot in here. There's already a hole drilled. I'm putting a slot in here for the head of the bolt, and then I'll come back with a smaller end mill and I'll put a slot for adjustment down below, and let's do this, and then I'll show you later what's going on. Now we're going to go back to the first hole. Okay, this is what it looks like. As you can see, there's a slot, and there's a round hole in the bottom of it. Now what I'm going to do is I'll put a slot where that round hole is, a little bit each direction. And what I found with the seat is that the mounting bolt holes are not consistent. They're off just a bit. As far as being consistent, I mean, if you've got two holes, they're right on, but when you go to four, it's a whole new game. So what I'll do is I'll cut the other one, which I have, and now I'll set up to do the small slot. I'm taking depth of cuts here. When you take an end mill that small, I basically have to remove about 3/8 of an inch thickness. And I have a tendency to be a little bit conservative. This conservative costs very little. The tooling costs a lot. Here we go, it's full depth. This will give us some nice adjustment. Because you know, the bottom of that seat is a stamped steel product, and those threaded inserts are spot welded in. There's a certain amount of tolerance. That they're allowed. So I just decided I'll make this thing so it's, here we go, there's the slot. That will give us adjustment. The size of the bolt is 5/16. I'm going to do the other one, and then we'll move on to the mount holes that go through for the adjuster. Aluminum is a pretty easy material to work with if you understand it. We do quite a bit of work in aluminum. We do quite a bit of work in carbon steels. Try to do a full dip. Duck, you may break the tool. Now we're all right. You notice that end mill's not going just straight back and forth. Part of that is called a circular interpolation. The machine, you program it, it'll do what you want it to do. So I told it how wide the slot was, and it knew that the tool was too narrow to make that wide a slot. There we go. There's number 2. Okay, off camera, I drilled the holes for the mount to mount this to the seat mount on the tractor. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put threads in those holes. The size is 5/16 18. If you buy the right tap, it makes the job much easier. As you can see, and come on, focus, get with us. There you go. Okay, moving on. Got the aluminum mounts in position, and as you can see, the top of the bolt is recessed. So when I bolt it up to the mount that goes on the tractor, there we go. You get older, you know, you get about 5 or 6 or 7 drops a day, and it don't count against you. Just keep that in mind. When you're younger, you know, you don't want to drop nothing, but when you're older, you don't really give a damn. You can always pick it up. Here we go. Those will hook to the bottom of the seat nicely. Nice solid wide base. Now, here's the mount that goes on the tractor, or on the hot rod, excuse me. This will give me adjustment both laterally. Let me zoom this thing out. I don't think we're catching everything we need to be catching. Wrong way. Again, that's being old. I don't have any strikes against me yet today. It's working out for me. Anyway, we'll put these in position. And as you can see, there's a little bit of adjustment, nothing serious, but just enough to get from, oh, this is uncomfortable, or maybe this will work. Okay? I actually took this black plate, which I powder coated in a previous video, off from a John Deere rear engine rider. I thought, man, that is a cool piece. I had several riders that I bought at one time at one purchase, and my thought behind the whole thing, buying all those pieces, was I can end up with 2 or 3 of the correct transmissions. I can end up with some ancillary parts that I wouldn't even give it a thought about, like the sprocket that's on the parade vehicle right now. Came off my rider. I modified it heavily, but it came off my rider. Okay, just about. There we go. Nice solid mount, centered, adjustment. What more could you ask for? Well, I'm going to be working on another part of this later today. I was going to take the exhaust, which I showed in a previous video, and down to the welding shop. The welding shop's in a separate building, but the temperature outside today is -5. I have a tendency to say, you know, I can weld that together when it's plus something besides -5.